So we're in the car the other day driving back from Warwick, and I was peppering Eloise with questions about the 4-day week. And what was awesome was that we both agreed that we wouldn't give it up, right?
Definitely.
There's been some challenges around it, but overall, and considering everything, it's something that we absolutely wouldn't give up.
Definitely. I don't want to go back.
You're the same?
Agreed. Yeah.
What about you?
I know I've always been the more sceptical one, but yeah, no, I do actually agree. I've really loved having the time, so.
So if we're going to share this with clients, with the public, because I think it is, we've proven that it works.
Yep.
Let's go back and understand where it all kind of came from. I know we made that public pledge in front of everyone at the BEAs in 2020, and drunk Naomi.
Well played, Al.
Said yes. But it was long before that, and I guess reading the Andrew Barnes book, The 4-Day Week, he only wrote that in 2019. Came out late 2019. I'd read it a few times, and it just made so much sense. Especially, I still struggle a little bit with the statistics of it. That came from Andrew Barnes writing the book in 2019. It was released late 2019. I'd read it a couple of times, and the premise just made so much sense. I'm still conflicted about the data. It states that through this massive productivity study in the UK and Canada, it states that the average worker in the UK only does about 2.5 hours of productive time, and Canada is only about 1.5 hours of productive work a day, which that's nuts.
It's wrong.
It's wrong. Yeah. Wrong that it's so low.
It is scary to think that our productivity could be that low when we feel like we work hard all day.
Yeah, that's right. But we have a massive productivity issue in Australia, largely in the West, in the Western world. And we can see that because all of the science says we shouldn't be working this many hours. The wealth that we've got, the access to technology that we've got, we filled it with something else, and that something else could be busyness. We see that in our workplace, right? We get to observe people that we know are not as productive, not nearly as productive as they think they are or they could be.
Not as productive as Eloise.
Yeah.
Well.
So then, if we understood the premise and we agreed with kind of the premise of the 4-day week, then we dived into the detail, right? We did, and we had a responsibility as experts in the people space to look at it properly, not just for us, because we could have come up with fairly simple process for our own team, little team, of people that we knew really well, but we took a much deeper dive.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to be skeptical of it. We needed the skeptics to go, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? How do we make it work? And let's be clear, I wasn't drunk, but I'd had enough wines to say yes to the 4-day week on stage at the VEAs in front of 600 people. But still, it was that kind of case of, let's not be rash or silly about how we do this, because once you've said we're going to do it, you don't want to set yourself up for failure. And I actually really loved when we were talking about it up on stage, watching the team kind of getting excited about it, but knowing at the same time they were probably quite sceptical as well. What was your reaction when that happened?
I was excited, really excited, because for me it meant having a bit more home-work balance. I was sceptical in the sense as I didn't think we would get you across the line more than anything. And I knew that you and Eloise, the type of people you were, you'd be really sceptical about it and pushing the boundaries, whereas I knew Al and I'd be like, yeah, let's just do it. It'll work.
And I honestly think the only reason Nay and I come across is because Al challenged us to. Like at BEAs, 600 people and you said, I want to do it, there's kind of a challenge in that it's not something that Nay and I are going to shy away from to a degree.
Yes, manipulated was the right word.
So had I just raised it at work, you would have said no?
Probably to a degree, because at the end of the day, my head went to more work, more stress, more pressure. I didn't want any of that. I wanted to do my 8:30 to 5 and not have the additional pressure.
Yeah, right. Okay, I promise not to ever use that against you.
No, can you?
In the
Now that we have that
future.
knowledge.
But you will know that public pledges are getting you across the line.
It's effective.
But you're right. Your skepticism at the time was one that really does affect the 4-day week. And you're talking about, and I want you to elaborate on this, but you just saw it as a concentration of an already full week, right?
Yeah, and I didn't understand enough to see the big picture, and I think that's what, when we talk about it being scalable for businesses and us going into so much detail, I needed to know that it could work for us, but if people asked us about it, it could work for them too. It wasn't just something that we built for Focus that was going to stay in Focus. We wanted it to be able to work for everyone that we, in our community, I suppose. Because at the end of the day, if every business can do a 4-day work week and sustain it, I think that's brilliant.
And I reckon that's where that period where we did prove it to ourselves, where we had the Clayton's gift day. And you'd never heard of a Clayton either, had you?
No idea.
Pauline told us what it was. So, but that concept of the Clayton's gift day, the false gift day, where we did have our offline time, clients couldn't reach us, our team couldn't reach us, we were effectively out of bounds, but still working on the assets which would then enable us to be more productive. That was the proof you and I needed, right?
Definitely. I think without that trial period, I would have been sitting there going, we can't just jump into something and have no goal or plan or anything like that. I'm a very detailed person, and it definitely wasn't gonna get across the line without that trial period, I suppose.
Yeah, and I wasn't willing to risk clients being impacted or failure. I don't like failure, so I wasn't willing to risk doing that.
What was your skepticism when we started looking at the detail?
I don't think I had any in the sense, but it was when we started digging into the detail, I went, oh, we probably need to think about that. And it was more the back end stuff. So I feel I liked that it pushed us to get all our assets done because that's what helps us save time, obviously, in our day. And the back end side of it is where it went, oh crap, maybe it won't work in the sense of payroll. Like, no one thinks of how that affects it, and I feel that kind of got me going, oh crap. Like, is this gonna fail it because of all the little detail that...
All the what ifs.
Yeah.
What happens if you have a sick day before your
gift
day, and then what happens during a public holiday week and all of those things? Yeah, there was so much detail, devil in the detail.
Whereas I never thought of that before and thought this is just going to work. Like, it's...
Yeah.
Eloise, I remember you also, part of your skepticism was, one, you absolutely rejected the idea of only being productive for 2.5 or 3 hours, even 5 hours a day, and I think both of you couldn't see where the waste was going to be removed.
Yeah, how do we pull 20% away?
Yeah.
And also without losing that social connectivity. Like, we do massages. I wasn't going to give up massages just for a day off. But little things like that. Like, I didn't want to lose the great team that we have built. And that
being able to stop and have a chat and
in the
coffee
kitchen.
And,
I loved that was one of our biggest barriers.
Yeah, definitely.
The whole team went, no, we can't lose it.
The connection.
Yeah. And I also felt guilty to a degree because I was like, I'm getting paid to work a day I'm not working. Like, that was really hard for me to grasp.
Have you let go of that?
To a degree, but it's still there because I'm like...
sneak work?
Not often.
Oh, you're a rat bag.
Don't ask questions you don't want to know the answer to.
It's not often. It's really not. But I do, to a degree, I feel guilty that, you guys are being so generous in the sense that, we still get paid to work a day we're not actually working. We're out there doing the fun stuff that we all want to do.
Yeah. But that was a big decider. And can I say one of my big triggers was when we first asked people to say, what would you do with the day? because until then I was still fully focused on the detail and the how do we do it and all that kind of stuff and the skepticism around it. And I think it was when I sat with you for an IHOP, Jess, and I saw you get, you know, just a bit emotional about the, you know, me having the afternoons with Willow.
Yeah.
That was when I went, oh, hang on a second, this stuff actually really means something. It's not just, you know, oh, this is lovely and it's such a great thing to put on your pamphlet that you do it. That was the stuff that actually that was my tipping point into, I am 100% in. Because if we can create that for not just ourselves, but also for the team, 100% in.
But as we dived into that detail and addressed the skepticism, we used a few tools. The readiness tool, which was really effective. And I think, you know, when we looked at that and we filled it out and we realised actually there was a number of the team that weren't ready to commit. And that gave us the direction to then look deeper into those areas to work out what we needed to do first. The other thing was, as we did that, it became really apparent that we weren't looking to concentrate that time or effort. We were looking to remove stuff in our days or stuff in our week that we actually didn't need, right? And replace it with assets and systems and processes that just made us work more efficiently. And so I do want to ask Eloise and Jess, you know, I remember being really strong on this concept of, you know, it's not about working harder, it's just about removing the waste from our system. And I know both of you were skeptical about that. Both of you said to us, we don't waste any time. We're both busy, we both got full days. But then you were able to point out some waste in our time, which was fun. But has that changed for you? Have you?
I feel like it's helped me to plan ahead more and to delegate more effectively. So I think between those two things, I've actually had a lot of the waste or the junk that I didn't think anything of come out of my day to a degree.
But you're not working harder, right?
No, I definitely don't think I'm working harder. I'm working more efficiently, which I think takes the pressure off.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
Especially when I'm planned, like I'm 3-4 weeks ahead. So I'd much rather be that.
Yeah, nice.
And
what about you, Jess?
I feel it's made me back away from my procrastination, because for me that's probably where my waste was, is I went, oh yeah, I've got time, look, then really, no, just get in and do it. Like, I feel it's making me be more proactive and get the jobs done that moment rather than wait and go, oh, I can do that 2 days later kind of thing.
Yeah, nicely owned. Me too.
Yeah.
There are absolutely times where in the past I know that I would have got stuck or procrastinated, or I think stuck is the right word.
Yeah.
And you know, now I'm a little bit fresher, and you know, and that absolutely helps, and just to drive through that.
Yeah.
I think it also helps because I don't want to impact you, because I take a full day on a Friday. I don't want to impact you guys for Friday, and then Nay's out Mondays, so I know that we've got to plan a little bit more, but I think it also comes in the fact that I don't want to impact anyone else. So if I'm planned and I can get rid of that junk and create more efficiencies, I'm going to be better. Not just myself, but our whole team is going to be better.
Yeah, we're more conscious for each other.
Yeah.
And when we hear the word waste, I actually don't think we did a lot of stuff that was useless. We didn't have a ton of stuff to carve out and go, we just stop doing that. Instead, it was about the good stuff that we were doing, just get smarter about it, get more efficient at it. You know, we were lean already.
Yeah, that's right. But we weren't immune to Parkinson's law, right? The Parkinson's law states that if you've got a certain container of time to do a task, you'll fill the container. Even if that container is reduced, you'll take that reduced time to do the same thing. I think we proved that Parkinson's law exists. Reduce the time and we still get it all done. And we find smarter and better ways. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was that there are a few different paradigms or concepts around the 4-day week. We are talking about a proper reduction of time. So we're doing 80% time for 100% output for 100% of our pay. or we're doing 100% output in 80% time for 100% pay. The other concepts around sort of a 9-day fortnight or a 4-day week where you work longer hours, so you take your 38 hours and you just concentrate it over 4 days, or flex time. Those, to me, that's not the 4-day week that I'm talking about. I'm talking about, and we're talking about a reduction in hours, right?
Yeah, correct.
And we've done the math. May, can you talk us through how much we've achieved to reduce our time?
In terms of the assets built, or?
No, in terms of our working weeks. Like, we have hit our 20% time reduction.
Oh yeah, I've gone back and done the data analysis around the time that we're recording. And that's the thing, so you've got to keep in mind that 80% is 80% that is in perspective to the amount of time spent. So if I was working a 50-hour week normally, an 80% reduction for me is a 40-hour week, let's say. So I think that, and yes, we've achieved doing that. We've all reduced by 20%, which is awesome.
Actually, you two are bang on 20%.
Yeah.
You and I
I'm close.
We're so close.
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah, that's right.
But the other thing, I think, the other conversation you and I had was around, you know, when you build all these efficiencies, and we've done so much work on the assets, it's really easy for people in the team to go, we're building these assets just so they can get us to do more work, or, you know, we're achieving these outcomes and then they'll ask us to do more. You know, there's definitely that mentality that can exist, whereas our conversation was around, if we do this, when's enough enough? At what point do you go, actually, we're really happy with the performance we've got, and it's time. We've always been about the shared wins, you know, it's time to do that. And so if we could genuinely get ourselves to the point where we were generating 100% productivity in 80% of the time, one option is to say, let's get 20% more productivity then, shall we, people? You know, and make more money out of it, or more outcomes, whereas we didn't want to, we had that, it was a no-brainer for us to go, no, actually that goes back to
But the premise of that argument of let's just work 5 days and do 120% or 125%, that assumes that we're productive all the time. And it's not true. Like, Andrew's fundamental argument is you've only got to make up a small amount of time across your 4 days to then be able to have an entire day off. The argument, and we've heard a number of people say it, like, why don't you just work 5 days and do more? That doesn't work, because you're not productive that whole time anyway. But I think there is a really important argument in here about the incentive for your team. And so when you are trying to hit budget and trying to make improvements, you know, there's a big drive around continuous improvement. There's no real incentive for the worker to be making those big gains in efficiency or productivity, because the winner from those is the business. And what generally happens is that the business just resets the budget for 5 or 10 or 15% higher, and so the worker delivers these productivity gains and then is asked to do that and more. I love that the productivity gains that we've made, we get to have, our family gets to share. You get 100% of your productivity gains back in, you know, whether you look at it as a 20% pay increase or a 20% reduction in hours, right?
Yeah. So after we got over the skepticism and proved that it could work and stopped doing Clayton's days, what did you start doing with your gift day?
As bad as it sounds, I started cleaning.
Success. Wow.
That's bad.
There's inspiration for everyone who watches this.
I did. I went into like that overdrive of, if I get my house clean and I start with a clean slate, I can do whatever I want. So I cleaned for weeks, to be honest, and my house is immaculate. But it gave me time to go away and to potter in my garden and go to the nurseries and play with my dogs, and also go to the dentist and do little things like that you don't necessarily have time, or you put off. So it gave me a day for me. It gave me a day to recharge, and if that meant that I needed a day to watch movies, I did that, because don't get me wrong, it took me a little while to get rid of the guilt for not working, but once I did to a degree, I had a day for myself. And that was really nice, because you don't often get a day to yourself when you're trying to, you know, do work and deal with the family, or, you know, if you've got kids or things like that. So it's really nice to just recharge.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Jess, you don't take a full day.
No.
You take. Can you talk us through what you do?
So I leave early 3 days a week, so Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I leave about 2:30 to go pick up my daughter, and it allows me to take her dancing and enjoy that with her, rather than sitting there going, I've got to get work done, I've got to ring that client and do all that. And then on the day she doesn't have dancing, we get home early, do homework, play, do stuff that I normally don't do, because we get home at midnight kind of thing, in the dark, and you don't get to, you're rushing getting dinner and getting to bed, rather than now we get to enjoy that together. So
What has that meant for you?
it frees up our weekends as well, so we have family time on weekends, because obviously Dan still works 5 days, so me getting home early and being able to do those little things like the washing or whatever, and spend time with Willow, then we know there's a day on the weekend that we've all got together. So.
And a little bit of time off 3 days a week, does it feel like enough? Does it?
Yes, it does for me, because like I said before, even if I didn't have Willow, I think I still would have been in the office 5 days, because I like the fact that I'm there 5 days touching base, and then leaving that bit earlier, then I know that I've left the office, I've dealt with the client stuff, and it's not there. Whereas I feel if I had a 4th day, like a whole day off, I don't know if I'd feel, I think I'd feel a bit more stressed. I know you guys love it because that's how you guys shut off, but for me, I like that I touch base 5 days still in the office.
It is really cool that we can take different approaches to that, right?
Yeah. And then it wasn't set that we had to have a whole day. Like, I like that we could choose how we spent it, like took it off.
Yeah, nice. What about you?
Yeah, I knew I wouldn't leave work if I did 5 days. And I wasn't laughing at you, I was laughing with you, because I started cleaning my house. Like cleaning out cupboards and sock drawers. But it was this liberating sense of all those things that I know I want to do and that are sitting in my mind and sort of taking up energy and space. I got to go, actually, I'm going to hook in and do that. I also became a bit of a mad gardener during COVID, and so I get to actually go outdoors and enjoy that, which is, like, that's not what I normally get to do. I'm normally inside in front of a computer or dealing with people. And so me just having space to do that and, you know, have music in my ears and stuff like that was really amazing. And I agree, it frees up your weekend entirely, because, you know, Scott loved the fact that I would get some of the clothes washing done and we didn't have to sort of plan that into when is that going to happen on the weekend. It meant that if we wanted to go away, it made it easier. And whether people consider this sad or not is fine, but I also have other aspirations, I suppose, professionally around writing and speaking and those sorts of things, and other business ideas that, you know, that day I get to kind of now go, right, I get to allocate that to it, instead of me thinking during my 5 work days, gosh, where am I going to fit all this stuff in that I want to do? How am I going to possibly do it? I now get to go, that actually sits there until that 5th day, and I get to really enjoy doing it. So, you know, and my kids are in school still, so, and they've got so many after school activities that it's not about I get a day with the family. It will become that, but it's not right now. It's for me, which is luxuriously selfish.
Yeah, nice.
You?
Yeah, I treat so I've got Wednesdays off. That was my 3rd option. I was thinking, you know, a Friday or a Monday. Actually, my 3rd option is the winner, I think. So love a midweek, and I treat Wednesday as my life work day. So I just take a different pace. I get up in the morning, I go for a slightly longer bike ride. I'm back to do breakfast with the kids and take them to school. Wednesday's the day that if they want me to walk them into their classroom and hang out with them for a bit, that's what I'll do. It's just slower pace, which, you know, they pick up on, right? Kids just love Wednesdays. And then I do life work. So the shopping, meal prep, mowing the lawns, all that stuff that absolutely gives you back your 2 days on the weekend. I get so much done on the Wednesday, but it's a different pace, so it doesn't feel like work. I've got headphones on and music, and I run errands and that sort of thing as well. And then I'm at home cooking, and Wednesday and Saturday nights are dessert night in our house, so we have a nice dinner on Wednesday night, and yeah, it's lovely. It just works, and it breaks up the week.
Did Wednesday night used to be dessert night, or did it start when you took your
No, it always was.
Okay.
It always was.
So there's obviously wins in it. What about the challenges? What are the things that we have found really hard? Not really hard, but what are the things that
impacts
that have impacted that we go, oh, hang on, we've got to watch that? What would you say, Jess?
For me, it'd be planning my day. Like, because you do have that, I have shorter days. It's just making sure I get in and actually do what I need to do. And I've found with us also too is planning our meetings better. Like, we're so conscious now of not wasting each other's time in those meetings. Not that we were, but we get to the point quicker. And so I feel it was just being conscious of the work we had to get done, and challenging ourselves to make sure we do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think my biggest challenges were around clients, like not being available to clients on a Friday. Like, shouldn't jinx us, but everything kind of hits the fan on a Friday. And being out of the office on a Friday and not being able to deal with that, there was some, I suppose, added stress for the first couple of weeks, and finding that balance between, you know what, it is okay for me to have a day and enjoy this day, but also not be available for clients. I think that was probably one of my biggest challenges, and just planning ahead a bit, because we have overlap to a degree. Like, you're out Mondays, I'm out Fridays. You're out middle of the week, so I've kind of got to plan either I'm going to catch you start of the week or end of the week, but then I'm out Friday. So it all plays on your mind after a while, and I think just that time balance and the pre-planning was probably a good lesson. But
I'm grateful that we've got really solid planners in our team, because this wouldn't have worked on my own at all. And so it is, you do need to be better planned. And you do need to be better at your structure and that discipline around meetings. All of those things are true. And they're part of the success. And I think they're part of, we identified that early on about when we started the impact register around where the impacts were. And it was largely on other team members when you weren't available.
Or weren't prepped, or keeping the right records, or like those sorts of things. I love that it has actually made us far more considerate of each other. Because you do think, right, I don't want to be impacted on my gift day, and therefore I don't want to impact on anyone else. So keep my house clean, in a sense, so that it makes it easy.
It absolutely stress tested our system, right? And made us better forced us to become better at doing that little administrative work and capturing notes, because we rely on each other to pick up those jobs for others. I think that's actually, rather than being a negative impact, that's been a win for our clients. I've certainly seen clients ring me on a Wednesday, get my message, ring the office, resolve it, and then on the Thursday when I follow them up, they're like, no, Jess sorted me, I'm all good. That's for me as a business owner, that's a real win. What about you? Impacts?
My biggest challenge is what we were all talking about at the start, was that connectivity piece. The fact that it is harder to find all of us in the office together at the same time. And because we're so focused on being highly efficient in 4 days, it does reduce that little bit of, just go have a chat. Now that I've got this under control and I feel like I'm doing this 4-day thing well, I've got to swing back and find that little bit better balance again, where I do go and just check in and sit and chat. And look, we've been really conscious about it, but it's the one thing that none of us wanted to lose, and I think we've got to be really sure on.
I think that impacted the people that aren't sitting here more than us. Because the ones that aren't in the office full time anyway. I've seen those guys challenged with that more than we did.
But when we introduce those intentional catch-ups, and it's not disingenuous or unauthentic, it is meaningful and it works, right? So you can plan those. You don't need those casual water cooler interactions. They can be more planned and scheduled, and they still work. When we're talking about impacts, I guess it was, for me, one of the big ones was spousal skepticism as well. The minute that I do anything after hours, it's like, how's that 4-day week going for you? Or if I didn't get every single job ticked off on my Wednesday, there would be some kind of interaction or comment around that. But I guess overall, it is hard to deny that it hasn't been an incredibly positive thing.
Yeah. So we want other businesses to do this, right? Because it's, like you said, we've proven it, and we think it's possible. We think it's great for the team, and we want others to at least consider it. Words of advice, Jess, from your perspective, what would be your one thing that you'd say to other businesses in terms of?
Don't hold back and just put everything on the table, I think, when they're talking about it, and don't just think managers know what they're saying, because obviously some of the teams are bigger than ours. Talk to everyone and have them, and I think if they've got people like yourself, Naomi, talk to the team about what they'll do on their day off.
Yep.
So that they know what's going to happen moving forward and how it impacts them in their non-work life kind of thing. So I feel just put everything on the table and plan it, don't rush it, and think about the little detail, because I feel I wasn't thinking of the detail, but that helped us get across the line, I think.
Actually, you were really instrumental in how the system was going to be played, or how someone might play
the system,
the system, which is so unlike you, but you put that hat on really well, and you're like, right, how would someone play this system if they were trying to manipulate it or influence it? And I think that was really useful, because I was completely blind to that. And Eloise, you got on board with how to freak the system.
We had really open conversations about that, which I think we needed to.
That's a really good point.
And having payroll in there too, like someone like Elisa, so that they can test that side of it, because that also is how it can fail.
It's complicated.
You?
I would say I'm a bit like Jess, give it a crack. Like, at the end of the day, you've got nothing to lose. You're working 5 days now, so if you go to 4 and it doesn't work, you're going to go back to 5. Your employees are doing that anyway. And my other thing would be able to answer any of the questions they might have. Even if you can't answer it straight away, you need to be able to find an answer, because that was one of my biggest things. I had so many questions, it was kind of nuts how much thought was going around in my brain. So I can just imagine in, like you say, a bigger business, you're going to have questions coming at you left, right and centre, and I think you need to be able to go into that detail to find the answers, otherwise they're not going to come on board.
So, for me, it's about have the open conversations, tap into the actual personal motivations, not just business facts, but then absolutely do the preparation. Don't just presume that all of a sudden we can magically fit 100% productivity into 4 days. In fact, do that prep really, really well, prove to yourselves that you can, so that it succeeds, because diving up, what my big thing was, we're not just diving in and failing at this, we've got to get it. We've got to get it over the line, we've got to do it right. And I think that bit of extra time to plan it and do it properly means you'll succeed at it.
Yeah, I really liked the process that we went through. We used some really cool tools. I think the impact register, when we were in our trial period, worked really well. I think the change readiness diagnostic tool, we did that 3 times, I think, and then on a 3rd time we're across the line and we knew that we were going to be able to do it. So those two, that open conversation and communication, diving into the detail and giving each of us different jobs to look at and then come back to the table with. And then the trial period. So the Clayton's trial period was that time when we acted like we were on a 4-day work week, but we were actually at work on that day, but working on assets, not client-based stuff. And that really, it educated the clients, it educated ourselves around what we needed to do. And then once we'd hit our metrics, and I think that's the other part for me was, we had some very clear goals. We needed to maintain our productivity, which we measured by revenue per employee, and we needed to hit our budgeting targets, and we needed to hit our strategic goals. And if we didn't hit those 3 things and our impacts were too great, we wouldn't have proceeded. But when we did, we kind of had the confidence and we knew that we were going to be able to do it from there.
It's kind of cool looking back and going, okay, we can do like our strategic goals. We can do productivity and nail it. Our clients are happy and we get a 4-day work week. That's pretty cool to look back on and go, we're month 4 now, actually achieved it to a degree. Like we're doing it and it's working. So we are proof in the pudding to a degree. And it's pretty cool.
I feel like we could genuinely call ourselves small but mighty.
Yeah.
And I have such intense pride in that.
Like when you listed all those things, I was like, 4 days in a year to do all that, like we're not doing too bad.
So, I've got another thought. 2023, 3-day week, or
Wait, are you
challenging us?
or 2024,
you said you
4-day weekend. What's best?
You're never going to get them across the line.
That's what you said last time.
Jess, what's your closing statement?
I just really like that we all now think of each other and more than we probably did beforehand to make sure that we continue to make this work for everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, and we do need more people doing this because I think the impact, not only, we've seen it in our team and our families, but the contribution that we're making in the community as well, I think is pretty powerful. The more businesses that choose to take this on, we're going to have healthier, happier communities, stronger communities, more inclusive communities, if we can encourage more people to do this.
Absolutely.
The statistics are pretty solid. The stats that are coming out of these studies are, while there's the slightly intangibles, people are happier, more satisfied, all of those things, spending more time with their family. The numbers are that personal leave and sick days are halved through this process. And I'm keen to see ours, although that might not be significantly representative because we don't have a lot of sick days in our team.
No.
But over the studies, it is really clear that people are happier, more productive, goals are hit, and we take less sick days. That's got to be a good thing.
And look, for me, it's not about the stats, it's about the impact I get to see it have on the people I care about. So thank you, Al, for laying the challenge and manipulating us. And thanks to the team for actually making it happen. I think it's awesome.